What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing the Dallas Cowboys season preview. We only have the Giants and the Cowboys left in this division, then we're going to be moving on to the next. So feel free to drop down the team that you guys want to see next, or they might already be up. So check those videos out. Again, I know this is probably my worst performing series, but I like to do it with you guys because I get to learn and you get to learn with me. And I know a lot of you guys, the few of you that do watch it, end up really loving it. So I do this for you guys. It is fun, it's entertaining, and it's educational. So feel free to continue supporting me down there. Let's get right into the video. Starting off with the rookie class. We start off round one, Tyler Smith. Y'all tore me apart when I took Tyler Smith for the Cowboys a while ago. And I started getting off that track because I thought Kenyon Green was going to be falling because he had a pretty poor combine. He ended up going a lot higher than expected. But Tyler Smith was the guy who I thought was an excellent fit. Obviously he is in the AAC, so there's a lot of schools around Dallas that are part of that, including SMU, and you see Tulsa play there quite often. So they have their eyes on him a lot. He's super young, super raw, and he's just like he fits really well in the short term as a guard, which with the loss of Connor Williams, it was an excellent choice. And then you also have a potential hole at left tackle for the future. So in that way, you're able to prepare for now and the future with him. I thought that was a phenomenal option. Again, he's super young, if I'm not mistaken. He's like 21 or maybe even 20. So guy has so much talent. He's super athletic and super powerful. Most big time blocks in college last year. So big fan of Tyler Smith. And again, I thought that was a very, very solid move. Sam Williams was next. He had some battery charges or some type of assault charges back at Ole Miss, which is why he fell. Had 60 pressures in the SEC. That's pretty insane, including, I think, 4 against Evan Neal, who was a first round top 10 pick. So Sam Williams obviously has that resume to back it up. Losing Randy Gregory was a pretty huge loss there for them. So I'm glad that they addressed 2 huge positions of need with 2 players of very solid value. Again, those assault charges were dropped, so that doesn't mean anything, but it was a factor into why he fell. Jalen Tolbert was next. He's actually right now, obviously Gallup's going to be coming back, but right now he's a wide receiver too until Gallup is fully healthy. And that is kind of clutch that they ended up getting him in the 3rd round. I had a 2nd round grade on him. I thought he's a phenomenal threat, especially a good deep threat, even though he doesn't have the speed necessarily. He's not in the low 4.4s or the high 4.3s. He still has enough talent to actually kick ass. So big fan of Jalen Tolbert right there. Jake Ferguson, another really solid tight end. Not like you really needed it, but hey, whatever. Matt Waletzko, another pretty solid dude at the Senior Bowl. He flashed out. Deron Bland, didn't know enough about him. The rest are pretty solid players in there. You got Damone Clark, who had his neck issue. That's why he fell. And then John Ridgway was a really good depth piece. So overall, I thought it was a very, very good draft. I was one of the few people who actually ended up liking the draft. And, they didn't get the star power you'd be hoping for as a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I think they got the pieces necessary to be able to have a very good future with them. Like, I do think when we look back, a lot of these guys will get 2nd contracts. So let's jump right into the contracts, which was originally what I was going to do in case my editing is crap and you guys see that. But looking at, we'll go the normal route, quarterback to running back. Obviously, the quarterback, we know who it is. It's Dak Prescott here. The backups are a little bit suspect. Ben DiNucci, honestly, isn't too shabby, though. Cooper Rush has his moments. Will Grier, God only knows. Like, I thought that he was going to be more talented than he actually was. But the man of the hour is Dak Prescott. Got his big deal. And you know what? He is a very good quarterback. Some people want to say he's top 5. I think that we've come around to the consensus that he's not. He's a good enough quarterback. And I don't think he's elite. I think he's really solid. And I just want him to continue materializing the way he did in that rookie year where he looked like an elite quarterback. So we'll see. We'll see. Again, the door is definitely not closed on Dak Prescott jumping into the top 10, top 5. So, I think he's probably around 10, maybe 11 for me. I'd have to write it out, which we can make that into another series. But regardless, running back, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, that 1-2 punch. I hope Ezekiel Elliott looks better this year. Apparently, he came to camp a little thinner, so that's really good to see him more in shape. Tony Pollard is just an absolute baller. It's going to be weird because we're going to see what happens with his contract. I know this team likes to pay a lot for their players, but at some point, the money runs out. So we'll see about that. Wide receiver wise, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert. Already talked about that. Gallup got his contract after his ACL tear. We'll see if that was a brilliant move because you guys shipped off Amari Cooper, who, because of the contract, was apparently expensive at the time. After all the offseason, he has a relatively cheap contract. So that was a little bit of a misstep right there, but you still have a solid enough wide receiver room here. I do actually worry that it is closing in on one of the weaker wide receiver rooms. Simi Fehoko is a solid backup option. It's a wide receiver 4, but I'm not very confident after James Washington's departure made it so. After James Washington's out for the year, it really does put a big emphasis on a very thin receiving core of talent. Like, you have dudes who are good enough, but in the NFL, we're at the point where good enough is not good. And like, CD could definitely take that step up, and I hope so. He was my wide receiver 1 for that year, and he has definitely had some really good flashes. So I think the jury's still out on CeeDee Lamb here. So I think that he's going to be perfectly fine. Michael Gallup, again, if he comes back healthy, he's a very, very good option. Jalen Tolbert, I have a lot of faith in him. Like, again, it's not a bad receiving core by any stretch of the imagination. It's deep as well. It's just you don't have that top end star power that you should. Dalton Schultz, he is doing a very good job, signed a 1-year contract. If I'm not mistaken, that was a franchise tag. So, that's good. Peyton Hendershot and Jake Ferguson, both really good options. I like both of them. Even Sean McKeon has his moments. Jeremy Sprinkle in there as well. So looking at the offensive line, Tyler Smith, you got Josh Ball in there from a couple years ago. You got Tyler Smith as well, obviously. Where's he at? Tyron Smith. I'm seeing if they actually had him listed as a right tackle, but Terrence Steele in here as well. Those are going to be your primary dudes who are going to be playing a role in that offensive tackle group. Again, I think Tyler Smith is going to be playing guard, and I think he should play guard for the short term, but tackle in the long. He is 21 years of age. So you have a really solid amount of dudes here. Again, you're lacking that true star power now because, again, you used to have like Lyle Collins there. You used to have literally just the most ungodly offensive line. We have to set those expectations aside and look at it for what it is right now. You still have Zach Martin, who's a baller. Hopefully he can continue to remain healthy. So fingers crossed on that. But again, it's going to be Zach Martin and Tyler Smith on the inside if they play their cards perfectly. And that should be good enough to patch it up. Center, obviously, you got Tyler Thibodeaux. Connor McGovern, I heard, was playing right guard. I don't know how much I love that. I really do want Tyler Smith to play guard. And I don't think Connor McGovern is really that good. I don't. He had like 37 snaps, apparently didn't allow pressure at right guard. But again, I'm not really confident in that. Alec Lindstrom was an excellent get later on. Tyler Thibodeaux, good enough. Again, I remember when they drafted him, I was like, he's going to be a really solid starting center. And he has been. He's been good enough. So hopefully the good enough you don't have any tomato cans on this offensive line, so to speak. So that's a good sign for you. Looking at the defense, building from the defensive line out, you have a lot of defense. Damn. So Sam Williams, no idea why in hell he's listed as a defensive tackle at 260 pounds. I'm thinking that's probably a typo. It's probably just messed up. You got Osa Digizua, very solid interior defensive lineman. Tristan Hill, second round pick, didn't really amount to what you were probably hoping for in a franchise interior. Neville Gallimore, similar story. So John Ridgeway as well, already talked about him, some good depth there. So you have some solid dudes on the interior. I'm going to say Sam Williams should be as a defensive end, again, his size should suggest. DeMarcus Lawrence, he had his 3-year deal. I thought that was honestly a really friendly deal as well. So big fan of how they structured that. Dorrance Armstrong is there. Chauncey Golston, I think, was a 3rd rounder 2 years ago. You got Dante Fowler in there as well, back in his home, back in his original defensive lineup there. So that's a good sign. You have dudes here. I think it's a little bit weaker than what you were hoping for. Obviously, you wanted Randy Gregory back, but that is A-okay. You got Sam Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence to start out. it could be a lot worse. Look at the linebackers. You got Micah Parsons here. He is just on another level. Damone Clark, again, really solid get late on. Same thing with Jabril Cox the year before. You have dudes here. Leighton Vander Esch gave him a 1-year deal. He's been performing subpar compared to what you were probably hoping for, which sucks because he had a really good rookie year. So maybe he'll get his spark back. You have Micah Parsons, LVE, and maybe Jabril Cox doing some good reps in there, with Damone Clark hopefully coming back healthy. So again, there is some stuff to worry about. You also have Anthony Barr that you signed, that was a good sign. I like that. Terrell Basham in there as well. So let's look now at the defensive back room. We're going to do corners first this time, whatever. Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, Kelvin Joseph, Trevon Diggs. That's a really good starting group. And the only problem is Anthony Brown, who, if I'm not mistaken, plays in the slot, is coming up for a contract this year. So slot corner, I think Brian Branch would be a very solid option in the draft, which, again, we'll be getting to 7-round mocks very soon. Nashawn Wright, you also got, if I'm not mistaken, in the 3rd round. Israel Mukawamu. Like, cornerback used to be your most suspect position. You even got Isaac Taylor-Stewart here. I really don't think that corner's exactly a need. Slot, sure. But I really wouldn't think that boundary corner is something you need to target anymore. Safety-wise, we'll see if they had a free safety list in here. Darian Thompson, not exactly super stoked about that. I wish you guys had DeMonte Casey still. He's not on my Steelers, so I can't really say it's that bad. Jerron Kearse is pretty damn solid. Malik Hooker, love that for him. Donovan Wilson, another really good player. You have really solid safeties here. Wanya Thomas, I think, ran the 4.3s. He's definitely a really talented safety. If not mistaken, he also had like a 100-yard pick 6. So overall, the roster is still good. I was expecting to see a lot more holes. Again, we really want to see Dak stay healthy and stay active, praying to God they do the right thing at interior offensive line, and be able to put Tyler Smith there instead of Connor McGovern for the long term. So praying for you guys on that one. Wide receiver is like really the patch on offense where I'm really uncomfortable, and that's a pretty big place to be uncomfortable, to be honest. But then defensive wise, your edge rush, it's good enough, but I really don't think if you go up against, let's just say, the Bengals, their tackle duo is probably going to outmatch what you have in edge rush presence right now, which is not good. I don't think the interior presence is not necessarily that good either. And without Micah Parsons, you are really kind of screwed on your front 7. Like, it really is Micah Parsons and then praying to God that, you guys can hold up elsewhere. And then D-Law, that's as good as you're going to get right now. So, again, your secondary, Micah Parsons, is the saving grace. That scares me a little bit. But let's hope everything pans out. Let's get right into here we go. We're right now with the Washington Commanders. Let's make sure it's the Cowboys. Let's get right into the records prediction. So starting off week 1, you got the Buccaneers coming right here to D-Town. I live in Dallas, if you guys don't know. I think that Tom Brady just starts out. He's just naturally going to have a really good rhythm. Again, this is going to be a fun game. I'm very excited to watch it, but we can flip games. Don't worry, this record's not final. I flipped the game last time as well. Again, the Bengals, I actually just talked about them. I think they could neutralize the Cowboys. The Cowboys start off hot, though, and if Jesse Bates isn't there, you're really relying on rookies on that defense to hold up. And again, with a healthy Tyron Smith, I think that can actually keep it in that favor. I'm not convinced to the point where I need to flip that game, so I'm going to keep it as is. The Giants are next, so we'll see how their record turns out, but I'm really not feeling comfortable with the Giants. I'm going to give that to the Cowboys. Their secondary is weaker now as well. They don't even have Garrett Bradbury there. Washington, they're better than I expected, but I still think Dallas, Dak owns the NFC East. So that's where we're going to be right there. The Rams, I think, could put up a formidable front against the Cowboys, and they're at home. Doesn't really matter that much. Both domes. I'm going to give it to the Rams. I think they are pretty damn high-powered. Offensive line's a little bit of a concern. So that's the first time where I would feel comfortable with the pass rush getting home. I don't feel comfortable about anything but Micah Parsons in that second level. So that's where I might get a little bit concerned where Matt Stafford could pick you guys apart. Eagles, I think they're a Super Bowl caliber team. I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. It's probably going to be impossible for you guys to digest. but I just think they're the superior team in almost every aspect except for maybe quarterback. And that's not going to bode well for you, especially if you're going to Philly. You got a fully rested Lions team here going in playing you guys. Their offensive line is better. Their wide receiver core can get locked up by you guys. I do believe that. So that could be minimized. But again, I think that the running game could, I haven't decided on this game yet, but I think that the offense actually outweighs your defensive power at the moment. And Micah Parsons is the only way you're going to be able to fix that. Again, he could be the best player defensively that we've seen since like Aaron Donald or Lawrence Taylor came into the league. So that's a pretty bold that's a pretty bold statement. But I think Micah Parsons phenomenal. He was my number 3 player in the draft before personality concerns kicked in, which dropped him to number 7. It looks like I did a pretty good job on making sure how much I loved him. Regardless, you look at the defense. I think the defensive front for Detroit is going to be really nasty. I think that they could definitely win this game. And again, they're both in the dome. You're going to be coming off 2 losses, though. They are fully rested. This is, again, a toss-up game for me. I usually go with the home team on this one. I'm trying to think. I don't really trust the secondary too much, so I think it could finally be equal in terms of wide receivers to secondary. Then we're going to be going to Cowboys. Again, that could change when I study the Lions roster, but I'm hoping to God that, the Cowboys can pull through. I really think that the Bears could be going 0 wins this year. Packers, you're in Lambeau Field, regardless of the amount of prep that you have. They have a monster secondary, a nice defensive front. The only thing that you can do is pressure Rodgers on offense, and that's possibly this. It is possible for you to be able to beat him in Lambeau at this moment because he just doesn't have much. But again, I'm not going to choose against Rodgers there. Again, we're going to continue with this theme. I think the Vikings are going to be very, very, very good this year. A lot of people are calling it, so we're going to go that way. Continue with the home stretch. You already know I don't have faith in the Giants, and Dak owns this division, so that's where we're going to rock there. Technically, all the other games are out, but let's just see. Colts, I really do think they are superior. Really damn good roster overall. And I do think they have a really good guy at the helm. The Texans, I think we're a lot better. The Jaguars, you're going to Jacksonville. Again, you're an indoor team going to an outdoor area with a really, really good coach. I'm pretty confident in that. I gave you a win over the Eagles, which I kind of want to give back, but I'm not going to out of respect. Again, you do usually win very well. You play very well in the NFC East. I think that I don't know why I gave this to you guys, to be honest. I think this is an upset game. Man, honestly, I'm going to flip it back. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have faith in your defensive front nor your second line apart from Micah. And if they simply just double or triple team Micah Parsons, I think that they'll have enough success in the run game. And then ending off with Washington. So it's pretty dictated by the home team in this. The away team won 3 times. I know this is not the record you want to see, and I know I'm going to get a lot of dislikes for this, but we looked at the roster. You guys know. You guys understand. That's why we do this. I don't want to come out here just firing from the hip. Again, when it comes to this, like you're looking at teams that could run really well. These teams are going to be run dominant. This team's going to be run dominant. And then you have young teams that are going to be explosive where you're going to really rely on everybody but Micah Parsons to be able to do something because you damn well know they're going to scheme against him. That's not going to bode well for your team. Again, I think you need one more year to rebuild. I think you need a true wide receiver 1. I think that if you guys can continue building up your linebacking core, that's the way that you're going to succeed. And you need to build a better defensive front as well. That mediocre pass rush is not going to be able to turn the tide. So I'm praying for you guys to beat me on this one. Again, things can change. If I study and let's just say, I don't like the Bucs roster that much, I'm easily flipping that one. The Rams roster, I don't like them that much, easily flipping. So this is not done yet. I could easily see this being 11-7, 6, 7. Am I tripping? 11-6. Yeah, but I can easily see this being 11-6. The 17 games. I love how I'm analytics major, but that's the case. I do think that is possible for me to flip some games. Vikings, if I really don't like their roster, could easily flip it. So there's a chance for this to change. So stay strong. Feel free to continue tracking this along because certain teams have had their games flipped and that has actually changed their ranking. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.